Welcome to Housing for Good, a podcast dedicated to housing topics and issues affecting our communities in McPherson County and beyond. With years of experience and expertise, hosts Chris Goodson and Karolyn Moore discuss housing challenges and opportunities with other experts from a variety of housing fields.
Hello there, and welcome to another edition of Housing for Good. Chris?
Yeah.
Give me some news for today.
Well, okay, Brush Up Mac is coming up April 19th, so put that on your calendar, everybody. Get your teams together, find some of the people in our community who need help, and be part of that great project.
Yeah. Just a little note, don't really start looking for volunteer forms or homeowner forms till we hit January.
Right. But I still want them to be thinking about their team. So
yes,
we want to make sure we have plenty of people to help who's out there who's really needing some assistance.
Absolutely. And if you are a business owner or you work for a business, Chris and I are wanting to develop a competition between our teams from our businesses or our churches or whatever. So
we'll have a floating trophy. We're excited about that. It'll be new.
Stay tuned for more information.
Okay, what else we have on here, Karolyn?
So, Joey was talking to us earlier. He said he saw on KWCH where the city of Wichita is going to start cracking down on their homelessness population. And, I did hear where they just bought one of the old schools over there. And they were going to fix it to be shelter beds and services. So I have to wonder if the crackdown won't correspond with that program starting because they're trying to get people into shelter.
It'll be interesting to see how that goes forward because there are a lot of people who experience trauma who are not going to be able to get those beds because of their trauma that they've experienced. So that'll be really interesting. We need to be following that up and also updating our audience about what's happening in Wichita because that could affect us depending on what happens. Is our community going to decide to do that? Other communities in the state of Kansas, what is that going to look like?
Yeah.
So that's really hard when they crack down and then they're put in jail and then they have fines and they have this and they have that and it just continues to make it more and more difficult for them to find housing. So it'll be interesting to watch that and to see what happens. Is that all the news? Oh, there's one more thing. Joey's been our little information person today, and he also said that he saw something on Yahoo News. What was it, Joey?
It might have been Yahoo.
Yahoo News. Okay, so with Yahoo News, in Minneapolis, Minnesota, they're trying to address the affordable housing by expanding zoning. So maybe normally you have R1, which allows you to put a single family, and they're going to allow you to have an R2 or an R3, which will then allow you to have more units on a piece of ground, which is really going to bring down the cost of housing. So I think that's a great thing. And again, something for us to watch to see what happens. We have to always make sure that we're not making ghettos, that we have services attached to that, and that the people that are doing that are being responsible.
Yes. Okay, and then one other thing, Joey pointed out to us today that we have released our 10th episode of Housing for Good.
Oh, that's exciting.
It's a small milestone, a baby step.
It's a step.
But still, so for those of you that are listening, just know that we've got 10 episodes out. And actually, by the time this one airs, we'll have a couple more under our belt. So anyway, thank you for listening. And let's introduce who we have with us today, Chris.
Okay, well, I think we'll let her introduce herself. And I think everybody knows who this is.
Oh, boy. Well, my name is Connie Grennan, and I am the Director of Meals on Wheels of McPherson, Kansas. So thank you for having me in today.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we're really happy. What you do is so important.
It is.
I mean, it's so important. So how many meals do you provide, would you say, in a week or a day?
Well, Monday through Friday, we put out about 70 meals. We had topped about getting close to 80 there for a while. We're back down again to about 70 per day, Monday through Friday. And then, because we work in cooperation with McPherson Hospital, we're able to do weekend meals as well, which is not a lot of food programs do weekends.
Yeah.
And people still need to eat on the weekend. It's really important, but we do lesser because sometimes families will take care of their elderly person on the weekends. We do about 40 meals on the weekends. So right now, about 70 Monday through Friday and 40 on the weekends.
I think that is unique for your program because I know in the past I've tried to help elderly folks and they will tell me that they have nothing coming to them on the weekend. That's great. So how long have you been doing the weekend meals?
I've think it's been going on since the program began. We actually have been serving McPherson since December 6th of 1971. Over 52 years we have been working in cooperation with the hospital.
That's amazing.
And never a day missed, I might add. We deliver meals no matter how high the snow is or what the conditions are.
No matter if there's COVID or not COVID.
COVID or not COVID. It was interesting when COVID started to try to figure out how we were going to serve the meals. But we continued. There's been a couple times we've come close. I don't know, it's been close to 10 years ago maybe. We had, it's been longer than that. But we had maybe 12 years. We had a tremendous ice storm here. And most of the streets were closed because trees were just down everywhere and you had a good inch of ice on everything. And it was just impassable. So I called everybody that day to see how they were doing. And we had probably around 50 people on at that time. I called them all to see if they were okay. And if they needed a meal, they didn't need a meal. If they even hesitated, we took a meal. But a lot of people did not want us out. And they were fine. Yeah. And so we still delivered, 25 or 30 meals that day. But I contacted everybody to make sure they were okay. If we couldn't make contact, we still went with a meal so we could check on them. It was a challenge that day, but we did it. And then, 5 or 6 years ago, we had, you might remember that the hospital had a flood. There was a big issue, and everything in the annex was flooding, including my office. The kitchen, they had to shut off the gas and everything, and so there was no hot food. Everybody in the kitchen scrambled that day, and they put together sandwiches and cold salads, and they put together a very nice nutritional meal, but it wasn't a hot meal. But that's the only day we've ever not served a hot meal. But we did pull it together and get everybody fed, and I had prepared people for 2 days of that. It only took one because I'll tell you, the staff, maintenance guys at the hospital really worked, and they got everything back online so we could have hot food the next day. That was a challenge.
Wow, what an accomplishment. That is amazing.
That's incredible. What a dedicated. So that brings up an idea. How many volunteers do you have? Do you know how many volunteers?
Well, it's hard to tell you exactly because there are like church groups that rotate people around, or there'll be a handful of them that want to deliver and they take turns. And I don't have a handle on exactly how many from different groups, but it takes well over 100 people, probably over 125 people probably, to get all the meals out in a month's time. What we do with volunteers is you rotate 2 months on, 2 months off, or we bring new people in to keep them fresh.
Yeah.
Somebody figured out a long time ago that it doesn't burn out volunteers when you give them a break,
Yeah, so, that's a great idea. That's great.
So like if you delivered Route 1 on a Monday, you would deliver Route 1 every Monday for 2 months, and then you're 2 months off. Now, if you drive weekends, most of the weekends churches deliver. But I do have 3 Saturdays that we have individuals that deliver, and so they would deliver just once a month, like if they did the first Saturday of every month. But when you spread it out, and it takes a lot of people that way.
So in one day,
it works.
So let's just say on a Monday, are you going to need 125 people on
Well,
that
we have
Monday?
7 routes every day, Monday through Friday. We have 4 routes on the weekends. For those Monday through Friday routes, I'd need 7 each day for 5 days. So I'd have 35, correct?
Yep.
We added around a few years ago, and I have trouble saying 35.
That's funny.
But so we'd need those people, and then we have, when they rotate off, we need that many more to come back and take their place. So that's putting us up 70. And then we have the weekend routes, 4 of them. So 32 more on weekends that we would need. There's your over 100, plus the incidentals and the substitute drivers that we have, because I keep a list of active subs. Because when a person drives, I don't want it to be a burden for them. So if they can't make it there, I just want them to call me and say, I have something come up. And then it's up to me. I go find a sub for that route. I do have to keep a list of active subs as well. So it's easily going to be 125 or more.
So do you need more volunteers? Like, what if somebody wants to volunteer? How does that work?
Oh, well, they need to just call my office and talk to me.
What's that number?
620-241-5238.
And is that the same number they would call if they find out they need a meal? Because I thinking about this as you're talking, my mother was in a wreck, and they needed meals for a short period of time. Did somebody call that same number then and give you name and address that this person is getting out of the hospital? They could really benefit from the Meals on Wheels program for a short period of time. And so I know you do that as well.
Yes, if you need assistance with meals, that is exactly the number you call, 241-5238. And there is a answering machine on there 24 hours a day. Because I'm an office of one, so I can't always be on the phone. I'm in and out, and I'm seeing people and doing things like this. And, but that machine, you leave a message and I'll get back with you. If you need help, you need a meal, you want to get set up, then certainly call that number. If you desire to help deliver, you can call that number. And yes, it takes all those people to deliver, but it also is something we're always looking to add to, because we've had volunteers that have volunteered for 40 years. They've aged out now, and so they can't do it anymore. And then we need to have somebody take their place.
Yes.
We have people that just have life experiences that they can no longer deliver. Maybe they've changed. They used to deliver on their noon hour, but their new job doesn't allow them to do that. So we have to have somebody to take over that route.
Yeah.
Or people move out of town that have been delivering. It's always an ongoing thing to need new volunteers.
Okay.
So if I became a Meals on Wheels volunteer and I came and picked up meals, how long would it take me to run the route for the day?
Well, I always tell people it's less than an hour.
Okay.
So it's once a week for less than an hour. And it usually, once you do the route and you know the route, it's a lot less
Quicker.
than that. But that hour would be coming to the hospital, picking up the food, delivering your route. And then we do have a new packaging system that we started 5 or 6 months ago, and I'm very excited about it. We have a soft-sided coolers that the food goes into. One is a hot bag, one's a cold bag. And this packaging, it's biodegradable. You just put it in the trash, and we're not filling the landfill up. It will decompose very quickly. It keeps the food hot. There's a film that goes over the top, and it's a heat seal. And the food, if you dropped it, which I hope don't drop, but if it did, the food would all
Please
stay.
don't drop the food.
Yeah, please don't drop it. But if you did, it'd stay in its compartment.
Oh, yeah.
Perfectly, because it's all heat sealed around every compartment. Thing is, it keeps the food nice and hot.
Oh, good.
And they're put into these soft side coolers that maintain the heat. So you have a cold bag and a hot bag that you deliver from. Then at the end of your route, you would have to bring the bag back to the hospital. I keep carts outside. So all you have to do is drive up, drop the bags, and you don't have to go inside.
So you've really
and then
made
you're
it
done.
very convenient for people. I mean, less than an hour, the way the bags are set up.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's all done very, very well, very organized. I would encourage people out there, if you're thinking about something to do with your kids, or maybe you have a lunch hour, or maybe there's some time on the weekends that you can help out this program. It's such a great program. I just love what you guys are doing with people.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And we try hard to make it easy for the volunteers, and it's something that is so valuable in the community, because we have a lot of elderly people who just need food assistance. They can't stand at a stove and cook. So they,
You know, Chris, in listening to Connie talk,
Yes.
we do Brush Up Mac. We have 25 houses that we do on one Saturday, bring together 250, 300 volunteers. What she's doing is an everyday thing.
I know, you make us look bad, kind of.
Not at all.
Like,
It's just totally
wow.
two different volunteer opportunities.
Yes, it is.
They're just
Yes,
totally
it is.
different. But
And it shows how important it is for people in our community to volunteer. Every single person is needed in our community to help somebody, whether it's you or us or someone else.
well, and there's just something about it. When you volunteer, you get something back yourself.
You do.
It's hard to explain, but the blessings are there.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm going to jump on my soapbox for just a second. You ready?
Soapbox.
Here it goes.
Okay.
So I love how you mentioned kids. This is a way for me to bring my kids and teach them about service, about volunteering, about giving back. I can't tell you the number of times Chris and I have gone someplace to present, and one of the questions we get was, how do you get the younger generation to participate and to volunteer? Well, it's like anything. Most of the time, you have to be shown that this is
Yes.
what we do. This is how we help somebody. And I love it because it shows that even the youngest among us can pitch in and help and contribute. And I'll bet there's a relationship that's formed between the volunteers and the people they're taking meals to. Because it's not just
Absolutely.
knock on the door, here's your meal, goodbye. They come in, they ask how they're doing. There's conversation that goes on. And so it's beneficial for both people. Now, my next question then is, have you seen requests for meals go up in the last year or two?
I have, especially over the last couple of years. But I'm not going to answer that until I go back to what you just said.
Okay, go ahead.
We're backing up.
You talked about kids and service, and it starts at home.
Yeah.
It starts with the parents teaching the younger generation how important that is.
Yes.
Yeah.
We do have people that bring their young children in. And let me tell you, the older people that are receiving their meal from a young person, they enjoy it. They love seeing the younger kids. There are people who like to see the adults as well, because you know what? Sometimes meeting that person is the only contact they'll have in a day with somebody else. Just that interaction, no matter if it's an adult or a child, that is just about as important as the food they're receiving.
Yes, I agree with
They're
that.
blessed with that interaction.
That emotional support is
Yeah.
It
huge
is.
for
So,
somebody that's living alone.
It is good. Now, we do have, I will have to say that Tammy Gibson at the Catholic school has for many years now brought her 5th grade class. The parents volunteer on a rotating basis to bring the class, and they take care of one of my routes.
Oh,
And she's
that's
done that with
awesome.
her 5th graders for many years.
Oh,
And
that's awesome.
But so there's a few places there where maybe it's not always taught with the parents. Some of those parents, I'm sure, are pushing that as well to teach their kids. But she covers that. And it would be great if other places like that who had contact with kids would bring them in. And I'm not saying it's just been her. There have been over the years
Yeah.
other people that bring in kids to learn about it and to give. But
If you think about it, if we could get more and more classrooms volunteering like that, you wouldn't have a volunteer problem at all.
yeah, that's
I mean,
true.
we would all be inundated with volunteers
Yeah.
if we get more and more kids and more adults with the kids. I mean, that was what we did in our family. My kids have been volunteering since they were little, brush up Mac or whatever crazy idea
Yeah.
I was doing. It's like, this is what we're doing.
And I have people that just my regular volunteers, they start with their toddlers in car seats coming in and delivering meals. So
That's
anyway, yes, back to your question. I have seen a lot. In the last 2 years, we have grown over 50% in our business.
Wow.
It's been tough. It's been hard for us because of the growth. For many years, I served 50 meals a day. And then all of a sudden, I was up at 80. Like I
Yeah.
said, we backed off just a little now, but I don't see it. That doesn't mean that it's
So
gonna
the
slow
funding's
down.
gotta
I
be
think we're
tricky.
going back up to 80.
The funding
soon.
has to be tricky for that, right, Connie? When
It
you're
is.
when
It
you're
always
trying
is.
to I mean,
Because-
when you're up 50%, that means you've got more expenses for that program. So that's something to think about as well. Is how do you continue to fund a program that is growing so rapidly? What does that look like?
Well, it's scary sometimes, to be honest. We are fortunate that we are a partnering agency with the United Way, and that is a big plus for us because they help us financially to be able to feed some of these people. We do charge people on a sliding scale according to their income. So many people pay less than what I pay the hospital for that food.
Oh, wow.
So we have to go out and make sure that there's funds there to cover that. We run on donations from people. We, always willing to take a donation from somebody. We live with memorials. I always encourage people, if Meals on Wheels has meant something to you or a family member, remember us at that time.
Yeah.
It's a constant thing to raise funds to make sure these meals are covered. We use a sliding scale, so if you can afford your meal and pay full price for that meal, then that's what we expect people to do. But for the many people who can't afford it and that are in poverty area, we give them a break and we fund a big portion of that.
So if somebody wanted to give a donation, where would they send that to?
They would send it to the Meals on Wheels of McPherson, Kansas office. I'm located in the annex of the hospital. We use the address of 915 North Walnut Street. That's not actually a physical address anymore because everything's under Hospital Drive. But we have maintained that 915 North Walnut Street as our address and our
great.
mailing address, so it
Okay.
keeps it separate from the hospital.
Yeah.
We're always encouraging people to remember us with donations. It's so important. There are a lot of people out there who struggle.
Okay, so before we started recording, we sat down and Connie told me that she couldn't answer the next question without answering the one that followed. So I'm just going to ask them both and we'll have a conversation.
Perfect.
Overall, Connie, how do you see that our senior population is doing? And are there needs that you see or hear about that are not being addressed?
Okay, there's a couple things. I think there's a lot of insecurity in our area right now. I don't believe that it's only in the senior population. I think there's a lot of food insecurity with every age group in McPherson and our surrounding area. However, since I work with the elderly, that's kind of where I'm at and most familiar with is the elderly population. I get a lot of calls from people who are looking for less expensive ways to eat. We've always had calls from people who are recovering from an illness or an injury. Maybe they're coming home from a nursing home stay and rehab, or they've been in the hospital and need extra help, as you mentioned before. We've had a lot of those calls for years. That's what we deal with. And maybe somebody just, as they've gotten older, they just can't physically stand at the stove and cook, so they need help to maintain their nutrition as they age. But now we are seeing a lot more calls from people who are just not getting nutritional needs met because they can't afford to eat. And it's very sad. It's a lot of elderly are in that position just looking for a way to eat that's not going to cost them what it costs them to go to the grocery store.
It's really hard to live on one meal a day.
It is.
Yeah.
Even though that is something that can come to them and can help their situation, if that's what you're counting on because that's all that you can afford, that's a problem.
That is a problem.
The one thing that we know about the elderly population is that if they're not as active and they're homebound, or they can get by with the one meal a day, because we serve a large meal. It's nutritionally balanced. It's a healthy meal for them. It's not a meal for somebody who thinks they're going to lose weight because they're going to get on this diet plan. That's not us. We are trying to maintain.
That's a new one, isn't it?
Yeah, we are trying to maintain weight.
We can market that.
And feed people.
Yeah.
And so the meal is a healthy meal. The hospital dietitian has analyzed everything on that tray and knows the content, and we maintain guidelines that are set forth by the Department of Aging and Disabilities for the elderly people. Some people, they eat it all at that time. Some people save part of it for their evening meal or to supplement their evening meal with that there's
I was wondering
some
about
extra.
that, whether they could split that in half.
They do. And my mother does that some. She's on Meals on Wheels as well. And she saves part of her meal because she's just not hungry for all of it at lunchtime.
Yeah.
But then, it takes a little bit more than that sometimes for dinner. As long as they have one good balanced meal, then they can kind of piece the other meals together. They know that we're going to bring them a good healthy meal, and that helps sustain people a lot.
I think that's the thing that people are surprised about. That's one of the biggest populations that we see in the homeless realm. We've had people in the cottages, seniors in the cottages whose rent continues to rise, and they get evicted or they're about ready to be evicted. So we can put them in a cottage, give them the services that they need, and then get their name on the list for one of the senior housing programs here in town. And then typically they do fine, but those Social Security checks are not keeping up with what's going on. So then you add food insecurity on top of that, and they are really struggling.
Yes, they really are. There's a lot of it. There's more than people realize. There's a lot more. We get calls from that. The other thing is we're seeing younger people. We served people who are 60 and over, and it used to be that really most of our calls came from people who were 80. Now we've got a lot of people that we serve that are just over 60. The needs are getting younger. And then I get a lot of people who call me who are not 60 and need meals. And that's tough for us because we serve people who are 60 and over. We can serve people who are under, but not easily. I mean, that person has to have a good, be in dire straits. They have to have no family there to help them, be on their own. They have to usually have pretty serious illness or condition that keeps them from cooking their meals or being able to get out to the store, whatever, because they just have to be in bad shape. And then I can't just add them. I have to take it to my board of directors to get approval if you're under age 60. So it's pretty restrictive because our funds are set aside for elderly people. And elderly is defined as 60 and over.
Yes.
Well, I used to say that, we served elderly, but now that I'm over 60, we just serve older people.
I know, right? 60's young. What are you talking about?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And that's it. Those younger people are needing help now. We are serving a lot of people that are in their 60s. But like I said, we are getting calls from people who are younger than that. And it's tough because I can't help all of them.
Man, that's really tough. We've been seeing that food insecurity as well, but
Yeah.
it just is compounding more and more with the cost of groceries. I went to the store the other day, and I think I walked out with $100, and I had like one bag, and I'm like, what is this?
Yeah.
You know? And
It's tough.
it's a lot.
Well, and the other thing that you asked about was, what needs do I hear about that are not necessarily being addressed? And,
Yes.
And that's, as I mentioned before, it's that food insecurity is big. And when I say food insecurity, what I mean in plain language is people are hungry and they don't have enough food to eat. That's as plain and simple as you can put it. I can help some of these people out who are age 60, but as I mentioned, I can't always help the younger ones. Those are pretty severe circumstances
Now,
that
we
need to be addressed.
We also spoke earlier before we started recording. You were talking about one house in particular that the man that lives there rents. Mm-hmm. And you were asking me about our Brush Up Mac program. Well, it is for low-income homeowners.
Right.
So we don't do anything to help the folks that rent with the condition of the house they're living in.
Except we can mow their lawn just once.
We
I
can
know we
do
can
that.
mow their lawn
Okay.
maybe or something. But
Well,
yeah.
and this is, I see this often, and sometimes I will refer people over, and Brush Up Mac is once a year. Sometimes some years I will send somebody over to fill out an application for that. And other times I know I can't help because they are renting. And
Yes.
so it falls back on the landowner. But the one particular place that I'm thinking of now, the steps are very unsafe. They're unsafe for my volunteers to go up. They're unsafe for the man who lives there. He is probably not able to afford to buy new steps for his place, and he's renting anyway.
Yeah.
So I guess I would encourage people that are renting their properties out to make sure that the properties they're renting out to people are safe for them, because we do approach different places where we're trying to help people, and it's not safe. And
Yeah.
in this particular case, it's a rental property, so I know you guys can't necessarily help him either.
No,
Yeah.
we can't.
But we
Yeah.
can always just encourage the landlords to please take care of those properties.
Yeah.
That it doesn't have to always look pretty, but keep it safe for people, please.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I will say the Sutherland Estates that we're building, we're going to have a few units in there for seniors. Mm-hmm. So they'll have bigger bathrooms. They'll have the showers it won't have a tub. It'll just have a shower. We'll have handrails. They're not 100% handicap accessible, but they're a lot more accessible. There's just a small step to get into the unit.
And tell us where that is.
That is going to be in the 300 block of South Oak Street.
Very good.
So we're very excited about that. The rent and utilities will be 30% of their income. So
Perfect.
that's very affordable for somebody, especially our seniors. So those are going to be a mixed-use property, but we're really excited to be able to start helping our senior population because we're seeing, like I said, we're seeing more and more seniors who are struggling with their housing. So they're choosing between housing, food, and utilities, and medicine.
Absolutely.
We shouldn't have to choose between these things. We
Yeah.
should be able to have all the things that we need, especially for our seniors, the people who worked all their lives to to give back to their communities. And it's like, what is happening here?
And Meals on Wheels would not have had the tremendous growth we've had over the last 2 years if people were doing well. And
Yes.
it's just a sign that things are not well. I'm fortunate that we're able to help so many of them, but
Well, we're grateful.
there's other needs. There's
We're
other
so
needs
grateful.
besides food.
We're so grateful for what you do.
Connie, we are
Thank you.
so thankful that you joined us today. And this has been a wonderful conversation.
Yes.
You can reach us at housingforgood@mcphersonhc.org. Leave us a review. Tell us about a podcast topic. Give us the name of somebody you think that we should talk to about anything to do with housing or the services that people need. Thank you. It's been a great day.
A great day. Thank you and have a great weekend.